It's supposed to be a throne march. It's supposed to have.
Hey, yeah, all right. Pneumatics aren't real good. It keeps going down.
Switch it, man. Just switch it.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. There he is.
Where's everybody at? I was expecting like 50, 60 people. You said there was a lot of people that came to these.
Yeah, we're kind of empty today. I don't know.
We are ready when you are.
We're ready? Okay, well, good morning and welcome to the February press conference with myself and City Manager Bill Cochran. We're here to visit about a few things, just give some notice on some activities that we've been conducting in the city and have some questions from the press if they have any. I want to say that, start off the bat, that yesterday I had a unique opportunity to greet the new 62nd class of the Topeka Police Department recruitment class. So I was able to visit with those new recruits, give some words of encouragement and thanks for stepping forward and taking on the job. Also at that time, we were able to show them what we have been doing with regards to our increased training efforts. And so that was a pleasant opportunity for me. And along those lines, yesterday, you may or may not have heard that a couple of our officers were involved in an injury accident. Both those officers, I'm pleased to say, were treated and are released and doing well as best we can tell. And the driver of the vehicle who essentially T-boned their police car was arrested for multiple charges. So I'm glad that no one got seriously hurt, either the officers or the driver. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. And also wanted to give a little update on the White Lakes project, because I know that I get regular questions about that on a almost daily basis. People are wanting to see when the building will start to come down. I know that they're progressing on their asbestos abatement, and dependent upon weather, it is hoped, I believe, that maybe next week you will actually see demolition of the building itself. So for those people who are keeping track and driving by and watching how things are progressing, that's an update for them as well. Hand in hand with that, our city crews and have been spending a lot of time looking at the boulevard itself, and they dispatched a crew out there to do some work. And the encouraging thing was that they were able to clean up an awful lot of trash out on that main thoroughfare. The discouraging thing is that people decide that's where they should put their trash, is to just throw it out the window of their car and let it fly. And I get a lot of those observations from the public and say, well, what can we do about that? And I encourage everybody to do their individual effort to encourage people to not trash our own city. I mean, we live in it. We don't need to be trashing it. So I'm glad that we're being able to address some of it, but for a citywide effort, it's important that all of us take the time to not put extra work out there for our crews and to diminish the look of their own neighborhoods by throwing trash out on the roads. We also have upcoming this week, Thursday, is our Police Community Special Committee meeting. I want to make sure I mention that because typically we have those on a Friday, but this time we're having it on Thursday at 3:30, and that will be, I understand, live streamed. So I encourage people who are interested in the works of that committee to please tune in. It should last about an hour and a half or so. So I encourage people to take the time to listen to the work that we're trying to do and bring the information to the community. Mr. City Manager, do you want to do an update on some of the roads and the water lines that we were talking about?
Yeah, last time we met, we talked about construction season getting ready to start, and so we're getting much closer. Just some of the major projects that we got going this summer is the second phase of 12th Street, and that'll be running on out to Gage Boulevard. The great thing about that is also that'll include utility work, so we're putting all new water lines and all that stuff in as well. And another project is Northwest Tyler Street. Same thing there, it's reconstruction, but while we have the road tore up, we're also replacing the water lines there. So those are two projects that we're really excited about. And then Southwest 17th Street is going to be receiving some major work as well from basically McVicker West. So those are big ones that are really will impact drivers because those are some main streets and thoroughfares. Like the mayor said, we are hopefully seeing some walls come down at White Lakes next week or the week after, weather dependent. You know, it's nice and sunny outside right now, right? So I'm dealing with that. But yeah, that's kind of what I got, sir.
Okay. How about our progress update on 9/11 Kansas, North Kansas?
9/11 Kansas, we've just received the RFPs. Well, where the RFP is out, we've got the requirements for the demolition by the engineer and the architect, what it's going to take. That one has a common wall between some other buildings, so it takes a little bit more. But we do have all the criteria for that, and so that will be out for bid here shortly.
Another thing that I'd like the city manager to speak to, and that is the progress we are having with regards to our search for a permanent city manager. If you could speak to that.
Yeah, the RFP for search firms closed. We're in the process now of reviewing those sealed bids, and they'll be brought forward in public conversation on the March 1st city council meeting, so the public will be able to hear what companies are interested or what individuals, firms are interested in assisting the city of Topeka as we move forward looking for the permanent city manager.
Thank you. Thank you. Another thing, just this morning, I was able to sit in on the beginning of one of the very first meetings that we're having with regards to our budget process in an effort to be even more transparent and clear to the public of what we are doing to make this budget process meaningful and come up with results for the decisions that are made for the expenditures of those funds. This budgeting process is something new to the city of Topeka. I think we've been moving forward towards this for the last 3 or 4 years. If we've streamlined it, but we really want to get into a statement of progress really on how our budget does affect the community and how it's spent. So I'm encouraged by what I heard this morning. I look forward to the continued training sessions, and I think Director Stephen Wade is doing an excellent job, and his staff, in bringing an expert really in the field to Topeka to work with the council. And so there were other council members present, so I think that's important to note that the city is not just doing business as usual. We're continuing to move in different ways that we hope are more progressive. So we stand for any questions you might have.
Mayor or city manager, either of you can answer, but we are hearing that the fire chief Duke left his position early. Are you able to give us a status if he's still working or retired early on that?
I'll let the city manager answer that. 'Cause that's
Yeah, I had conversation with the fire chief, and he told me that his situation had changed, and he moved his retirement date up to March 4th. And so he is still on the payroll, and his retirement date is March 4th.
Is there a status on looking for a new fire chief anytime soon?
Yes, we did interviews for the fire chief and an executive session on March 1st. I will be moving recommendations forward to the governing body to receive their input on what that looks like. And so we hope to have that person identified within the next week, and we can start moving forward with that.
Are you guys going to be looking within the department or outside of the department?
There is a desire from the governing body and as well as the citizens of Topeka and the fire department that we have an internal candidate be looked at. So we did interview 3 internal candidates out of the 5 interviews. And so, like I said, a recommendation that we move forward in the executive session March 1st.
And you guys already touched on the city manager recruiting firm. Can you clarify, you guys are looking at which firm to choose for the city manager?
Correct. That was the desire from the governing body, was to find somebody local to look for a city manager, the new city manager, because we want he or she to have a vested interest in the city of Topeka. And so by hiring a firm that locally to do that to help the city look for that we can identify that person. And so, yeah, what the steps that we're at, or where we're at right now in the process is looking at those firms who have applied or put in an RFP. We'll evaluate those, and then that'll be conversation, and then hopefully we'll decide who that will be Tuesday evening, or I'll have guidance from the governing body as to who they prefer or whatever, and then we'll enter into conversation with that firm or company and try to move forward.
With there being a lot of local leadership positions kind of being looked at right now, is this kind of normal around this time of season, or is it just kind of coincidence that everyone's trying to retire?
Well, I think the interesting thing with government, especially local government, is you do go through that transition period. Every once in a while, you'll have 3 or 4 key positions that come open at one time. And, if you remember, when I became the police chief, we had an interim police chief. We had just hired the city manager. We just got a new mayor. So that transition is ebb and flow, and that's why you want to have key staff that's developed and ready to go. And so that when somebody steps aside or moves on, you don't have a lack, or you don't have anything that falls off the grid. And so I feel very comfortable where we're at, and I've reassured the governing body that we're in a good position and not to worry, and I feel very, very good where we're at moving forward.
Any other questions?
And the chief, our chief, he resigned on his own. Was he asked to? Can you say that it was a mutual, or truly it was just, I'm done?
Well, he told me that his situation has changed, and he knew that he was leaving on April 1st, and we'd already started that transition in the aspect of authority, or not authority, but responsibilities and all that, and so it was working very well. And I think he felt he was in a good place, that he could go ahead and go early. Things just kind of changed in his life, and so it's really just moving it up 2 weeks. So
I think the city manager kind of spoke to that when he talked about the transition period, and that we've been very intentional in making sure that our department heads are putting into place people who can, if necessary, take over the operations so we don't skip a beat and are worried about what we're going to do next. So I think the chief felt very comfortable, as the city manager said, that he has some good leadership at the department. And so for him, it's more convenient to leave a month early, knowing that everybody's in place, that the department will still run without missing a beat. So I think that speaks well to the organizational effort and the leadership by the department heads to prepare for any kinds of those transitions.
And you guys said that he was going to leave within 2 weeks, so are you going to have someone in as an interim, or do you plan on having someone new hired by that time?
well, as I said, March 1st, we have an executive session where we will move forward the list of candidates and a recommendation. And so the hopes are that we will have the guidance on who that person will be. And so my opinion, and as I told the mayor, is I don't think we need to have an interim fire chief, because we're only talking a week, maybe 2 weeks. And the way the transition is working so smoothly right now, the deputy chief is doing a lot of the administrative and running of areas. And so there's really no need to make an interim.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Mayor and City Manager.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. We got our